What's up guys, welcome to DriverJ's Garage. My name is Josh. Today we're going to be working on this guy. We're going to be taking a look at our 330xi. You'll notice on the window I have some chalk marks. The chalk marks, if you're not familiar with these, are from the side of the highway. So I did get stranded in the 330. It's the second time that's happened in my ownership of this car. The other one's a story for another day. But what we're going to be looking at today is the fuel system. It kicked out a service engine light and then started to lose power. So it's going to be a pretty easy fix, I think. Looking at the codes, and I'll put the codes up right here for you guys so you can take a look at these with me. The codes we have are P0171, which is powertrain system 2 lean on bank 1, P0174 powertrain system 2 lean bank 2, P1083, which is system lean sensor 1 bank 1, I believe, and P1085 powertrain system 2 lean bank 2 sensor 1. So basically what we're getting is we're getting a 2 lean on fuel condition. So there's a couple of things that could be. The first thing it could be is fuel injectors. The second thing it could be is the fuel pressure regulator, or the fuel filter, which is part of the same assembly, or the fuel pump. And in this case I think it's most likely the fuel pump, because when I got stranded on the side of the road I did try and start it and it got nothing. It didn't come on at all. It cranked. I'm not seeing any spark codes, so I'm not even going to check spark right away. We're going to go straight to checking fuel. And I think what we're experiencing on this car, since when I turn the key I don't hear the fuel pump priming, is either a fuel pump relay or the fuel pump itself. And the fuel pump that actually sends the fuel to the engine from the tank is on the passenger side in the rear seat. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. It's actually a pretty simple job on this car. I don't even have to drop the tank. This actually has an access panel, super simple. I will throw links to the parts. I did get all my parts on Amazon just to make it simple, because they had 2-day shipping where everybody else was going to take some time, and I need this girl up and running as fast as possible, as she is my daily driver right now. So we'll go ahead and start tearing into this, and we're going to do diagnostics in the first half of the video. The second half of the video is actually going to be the replacement. So let's get into it. Let's figure out if this is the fuel pump. So the first things we need to do that is we're going to need a digital multimeter, which I just have a cheapie that I bought years and years ago, and it still works and it does most of the functions that I need it to. So we've got that. And then we've got, to get access to the fuel pump, all we need is everybody's favorite lost socket, the 10mm. So 10mm, I've got this little house kit from Craftsman. I didn't want to bring my full toolbox since the car is not at my own home and it is at a family member's house. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at it, and we're going to get this thing solved. So first things first, we have to get the back seat off. That's a pretty easy job. Let's go ahead and get to that. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and first we're going to try and start the car here, and we're going to try and prime the fuel system. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and stick the key in and see if we get fuel pump noise. I'm going to try and hear it through the seat, but if we can't, we'll take the seat off and that'll be an easy indicator. It's right back here. So right now we are at the accessory position and I am getting nothing. I'm getting no prime off the fuel pump. So let's go ahead and pull the seat off back there and we'll take a listen and see if we have any activity on the fuel pump. So that should be a pretty good indicator itself, but then we can also test the voltage. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll pull the back seat and show you that in a second. Alright, so the back seat is actually quite simple. You literally only have to grab it and pull up just a little bit from the front, and the tabs are right, basically, the tabs that hold this thing down are basically right underneath here, underneath the butt bolster. You just literally can grab right here and just pull up, and same on the passenger side. So we'll just go ahead and do that in just one click, and it's really easy. Like, there's no bolts, nothing. You just pick it up, pull it out, and then we'll just set that aside behind the car. Now, it is a little bit messy back here. I do have 2 kids, so they've left some toys of some kind back here. It looks like beads and stuff like that, and some snacks and all kinds of goodness, being that I have 2 fairly young children. So we'll go ahead and pull you guys into the back here and show you guys what I'm talking about. So we're looking into the rear compartment here. And this side right here is where the sending unit is. It's just beneath here. This is just the rubber sound deadener. I already pried this side up a little bit. You can pry it up, and there's 4 10mm bolts on either of those. And then this arrow here indicates which way it goes forward. So that way when you reinstall it, this is the sending unit. We're actually going to want to check the other side. I'm going to head over there. We're going to take a listen while we try and hit the ignition into priming mode and see if we get any type of sound out of that. Now we're going to give it a quick listen here and see if we hear the fuel pump priming. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull this up, and it just comes up around the rubber here. And you can do it a couple of different ways. You can pull it up, you could rip through it and cut a channel into it. Since mine is already pretty brittle and all it is sound deadening material, I think I'm going to go ahead and just do that. You can actually see a little bit of the seat came off. So I'm going to do that just so we can get around the wire and not have to mess around too much. So I'm just going to rip a channel right through there. It's just really easy to rip rubber. It's not incredibly tough, especially if it's as old as my car, as old as these cars are. So there we go, we're in. So then we just have our 4 10mm nuts again, and we pop these out. And again, the indicator to show what goes forward, so you do want that pointing toward the front of the car. Let me go ahead and grab my 10mm. Now I probably grabbed the wrong socket wrench for the job, but and this is actually a good time too, while you're back here, to clean out any of the gunk that gets under your seat, especially like me if you have kids. And I'm doing this with simple hand tools. I do have a electric impact gun I could be using, but I think this is the easiest way to show off that it can be done by anybody with basic hand tools. This is a really simple job. And then in fact, just to make it a little quicker, at the end I'm going to use the nut driver. So again, just a 10mm nut driver, and I think these are actually even, yeah. You can either use a socket wrench or just a 10mm nut driver. And if you've got it, power tools, even better. I've got them, I just don't feel the need to use them. It's a quick, easy job. Alright, let's go ahead and get this up and out of the way. This is how you pull the fuel pump out. It does not look like this has ever been changed. This is a one-time, this is one of the one-time use fittings. So the fuel pump is original on this car with almost 170,000 miles. I'm not at all surprised that the fuel pump on this is out. And it's an easy job to replace. I just have to wait for the part to get here. So all we have to do that is pull this harness using a flathead screwdriver. There's just a little pry point here. You pry it, it opens up this channel. You can actually even do it by hand. And then that pops out. And then we just can test this too. But we'll go ahead and plug that back in quick. And give it another test prime to see if we can hear anything. Yeah, I'm getting absolutely zero from that. Okay, so what we can do now is we can test the voltage here. Give it a pull, and now we should be able to, I believe it's these two pins here, and they should get a voltage for about 3 to 5 seconds, and they should read battery voltage. It's just two of the pins, and I can, so it's just two of the pins you need to test, and you should see battery voltage across them for just a second. And if you aren't seeing battery voltage, then you've either got a relay or issue, but then you've got a relay issue. But if you see battery voltage and you're not getting it, then the pump is faulty. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the key to accessory, and we're gonna test the voltage across those two pins and see if we're reading battery voltage. Alright, and so you'll see for just a few seconds it reads battery voltage here. So that means our relay is good. We are getting power back to the pump. So in this case, we do have a failed fuel pump, as I thought. Alright, so now we're down to some pretty easy stuff here. All we really have to do is clean out the junk here.
So this tool is the fuel pump locking ring removal tool. It's 3 pieces with 2 bolts that attach it. It's a little bar that you attach to your wrench with 2 other bars that lock into the tabs or the little nubs that are on the fuel pump locking ring. And then you use downward pressure and a wrench to turn and push those instead of using a mallet screwdriver. I can do a video on this tool specifically if you'd like to see more detail, but this is a high-level overview just for the fuel pump.
So now that we got that loose, you should be able to pry this open.
Now on this one-time use clamp, there are some little teeth that hold the clamping ring together, and if you just pry in those little teeth, you can get it out pretty easily, and that's the best way to do it, just prying there gently with the screwdriver and kind of wiggling it until they snap, and then you can loosen the clamp.
Now, hopefully we don't have any fuel pressure in here because the car has been sitting for a number of days. Yeah, very little. So now we just need a paper towel to wipe that up. Ah, lovely, lovely gas smell. And we'll get that cleaned up here in just a second. So now we've got the fuel line off. Spin the locking ring off. We'll wipe a little bit more of this crud off before we pull it out. And now, with any luck, the fuel pump should just wiggle straight up.
No. Hopefully the basket isn't breaking off from that. Fuel line. There we go. That actually, that rubber seal is in really good shape. Hopefully we don't have to get another one. So we got plenty of fuel, so that's good. Alright, and now the fuel pump's up.
Okay, so one thing you want to do before you reinstall it is check your float. Just make sure it moves freely. Mine does. It works really good. So now we're going to kind of fit everything back down in here. And I'm just reusing the rubber seal. You can get a new one. Mine is in really, really good shape still. So we're just going to go ahead and reuse it. Start it by hand. And I did check, I have a box of kind of miscellaneous parts I did check. I do not, unfortunately, have an extra piece for that, for the clamp, so I'm gonna have to run to the parts store and go get one. So we'll slide over to the parts store, grab one of those, and be back in a jiffy. Alright, now just to finish it up, we've got this nice little clamp here. Now, you can trim the end of this off, and I would suggest it just because it is a little long, but there it is. We put the plugs back in, so make sure we get the right way. Slide that in, clip it back together. Now we should be able to start the car from here. Oh yeah, can you hear it? So we're leak checking really quick. Okay, you can hear it firing up, which is good. We couldn't hear that before. Now we're just going to prime the system, make sure we've got good fuel pressure, and we'll give it a test start. Boom! And we are good to go. All in all, that was very little time we had to spend to do the fuel pump. This is a really quick job if you have all of this stuff. All right, so all the parts are gonna be linked down below for you guys, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm to make sure that YouTube and I both know that you like this video and that it was helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those down in the comments below. We will be covering more projects like this, as I have a few things coming up on the Yukon that need some work, as well as the BMW. So guys, I will see you in the next video. All of you take care of yourselves. Peace.